I'm turning scrap mechanic into a factory game. So far I've got droppers which can drop ores, which can be sold for money, or moved by conveyor belts and upgraded. Now if you think this looks like a Roblox tycoon, you're kind of right, but I'm gonna make this much better than any Roblox tycoon. You wanted me to add an entire pollution system to the mod, so I've been experimenting with changing the light settings to create a really dark atmosphere. Then I've looked into automatically generating dust particles. I've tried a bunch of different approaches for the dust. Yeah, this did not end up looking as good as I expected. I also tried adding acid rain, but it looked more like meteorites. In the end I realized the pollution system was kind of a dumb idea. For once it had a million different things I had to program. Second, I still had no idea what should really produce pollution and what not, and it just didn't seem to fit into my game design. Yeah, the gameplay is kinda primitive. I just scrapped the entire pollution system, and wish I'll never speak of that again. Instead I used my amazing paint skills to work on the research system. And yeah, somehow this graphical user interface is all I've did during this 5 hours stream? Anyway, let's go over the next 24 hours of streaming. I really don't know why I think that was a good idea. I realize building factories with all of this ore can get really annoying, since it's blocking so much stuff and creating so much lag. So I've added a clear all ores feature, so whenever you press R, it opens up this interface, and if I press yes, it's gonna explode all the ores. But since people are not used to pressing R, I've added this tutorial pop-up, which is automatically gonna pop up once there's too many ores in the world. At this point I also realized that I probably want to translate the mod into other languages. So I had to come up with my own system for translating stuff. And by coming up, I mean yoiking it from the Wrath mechanic mod. So I now changed my language to German, like this. You see that at least this pop-up translates. Yeah, I also added Rick Astley to the mod. Well, I just needed a placeholder for the hut. Well, in this case, it's a piece of toilet paper, but this is actually generated with the code. But yeah, basically, whenever I screw up the hut, I get rickrolled by my own mod now, which is kind of funny. At this point I also started refactoring my code. Usually my projects turn into a hot pile of garbage. So yeah, I was trying to de-spaghettify my code. I think at this point I need to explain how the research system works. So the idea is that you can either sell ore for money, or for these blue research points thingies. However, currently you see the symbol on the research is this wood block. That means I need to make a certain amount of money just by selling this specific drop, which will unlock more items in the shop for you to buy. Yeah, we've got a whole shop with an entire item system. This means you just can't focus on maximizing your profits. You also need to work with unique drops such as the LTT dropper or bread dropper. There's a bunch of dumb drop ideas. Like imagine a dropper that drops a drop which is really bouncy. So you have to build a factory that can handle all of the bounciness. And to prevent people from just spamming a lot of furnaces with just a dropper attached to it like this, I've made it so that you can only specify one furnace to do research for you. So now if I sell ore in this furnace, we get the blue research stuff. And yeah, you can't imagine how much work these simple things are. Well, speaking of simple things, I've made a sell tool so you can actually sell your items if you don't need them anymore. However, you can buy up to 1,000 of one item. So if you want to sell 1,000 conveyor belts, this is really not practical. So I made it so you can control the quantity of how many items you want to sell. And you see it says maximum sell quantity. It's kind of complicated. So for example, I have 12 of these in my inventory. If my maximum sell quantity is 1, I'm only ever gonna sell up to 1 of these. If I change this to 10, we can sell up to 10. Now if I change it to 100, we only own 12 of these things. So it always tries to go as high as possible. And now just to prove that it works, if I click this, we get a lot of money. Or, oh, I should probably add the... Like, if I sell 3 of these furnaces, we don't just get 80 bucks. We get 240 bucks, so the text that pops up is wrong. Good thing I can fix this real quick. If I now sell 2 windmills, we should see 240 bucks. So yeah, it works now. Well, if you were thinking I was making a lot of progress on the mod, not so fast. Remember how I was talking about spaghetti code? There was a lot of jank in this mod. So you wrote this amazing code that works, suddenly Dr. Rework comes, and you have to start from scratch. Anyway, the power system used to be real janky. You see it fluctuates. Well, it doesn't... Okay, let me place down more consumer thingies. You see it's really jumpy, it updates quite a lot. It's really hard to read actually. And the percentage thing should also tell you how much is actually stored in the batteries and not like how much these thingies are producing. It was a real mess. So I spent a lot of time just reworking the entire power system, but the result is amazing. One thing you'll notice is that it's no longer jumpy, it stays pretty consistent. And once I start to consume more energy than I produce, you see that the number actually gets negative. This is really helpful if you want to know like how much your batteries are being drained. Well, speaking of the batteries, I've also added a text whenever you look at them that shows you the entire capacity of the network. And like, it's just so fancy. I've also added a text to the generators, which is really helpful with the solar panels. Because you see, currently it's nighttime, so they don't produce energy. The windmills, on the other hand, they always produce energy. However, I made it so the higher you place them, the more energy they produce, so I'm really proud of the new power system. In my opinion, this is perfect. I've also added some raids to the... well, you can see it working. So whenever it turns midnight, a raid will trigger in 12 hours, which targets a random part of your factory. I'm still not sure if I want to keep this in the end, because I feel like the bots could get really annoying. But yeah, essentially the system is working now. Everything was going really well until I ran into a very interesting problem. You see, in games like this, you can get rich, like really, really rich. So I was testing what would happen if I give myself an absurdly huge amount of money. And as I had feared, I actually was getting an infinite amount of money. I know it's a very first world problem to have. When it comes to programming, numbers actually get stored in bits. So you see now, this is the binary representation of 6969. And to store numbers, the computer reserves a certain amount of bits to actually store these numbers, meaning if numbers get too large, you kind of have a problem of being too rich. And what I basically had to do was reinvent math. So yeah, that's basically what I was trying to do. Reinventing numbers for like 3 hours until I realized what was actually the problem. You see, I'm not actually a Lua expert. I just learned all my Lua knowledge from modding Scrap Mechanic. So in Lua, numbers can range up to 1.7 times 10 to the power of 308. Like, this is nothing compared to it. The problem is how Scrap Mechanic handles these network events. For some reason, the developers thought it was a good idea to turn a number that can go up to 308 orders of magnitude to this, which is like tiny in comparison. Now, guess what is the workaround? You just convert the number to a string of text and then convert the text back to a number. I know it's really dumb, but text doesn't have any storage limits. Yeah, this is just the fun stuff you deal with when modding Scrap Mechanic. I also refactored the entire system that formats my numbers to these fancy things with letters in them. So basically, if I give myself now a huge amount of money, you'll see that it now actually uses scientific notation. Yeah, now I kind of went on a rework frenzy. So for the research system and later the prestige system, I'm also gonna need interfaces. And before, I had the entire shop script just in one script. Yeah, it's really bad if you have a lot of different stuff in just one script. So I split the tool into a hub tool, which can then open other interfaces like the research tool. And what you're seeing right now is a little bugged. Yeah, something with the resolution scaling is a little off right now, but it looks fine in Full HD. So yeah, Tofik is actually just working on fixing them right now. But yeah, he's done an amazing job of taking care of all the graphical user interface stuff, which I absolutely hate doing. Remember the shitty stuff that I made? This is so much better. So yeah, every research tier now has some kind of description because I somehow had to fill this entire screen with shit. We can also cycle through the unlocks and stuff. I'm just so proud of this because I just did this recently. And I ended up doing the same for the research, the money, and the power. So all of these things now have their separate managers that handle all of the stuff. So this is why if I actually were to make any progress on my research, you'll see now it also automatically updates the HUD. Yeah, I also cleaned up the folders here, so everything is now neatly organized, kinda. But yeah, I did a lot of refactoring here, so basically now all the scripts have some sort of base script. And then if I want to add a new upgrader, which I did here as an example, you see it's not a lot of code I need to write to make it happen, which is a really, really epic thing. So what I ended up doing is just add a bunch of upgraders just to test the system. And yeah, these are still all placeholders, but this upgrader now upgrades your ore by a random amount of money. And yeah, I also worked on the conveyor belts, more on that later. So they're not perfect right now. But yeah, you will see it's random now, the amount of money it adds to the thing. And I can't wait for the streams when I can just add like 5 upgraders in one stream, and we can just have a lot of fun thinking about that instead of refactoring code so it actually works, unlike these damn conveyor belts. I also ended up doing the same with the furnaces, so I've added some new furnaces. Now there's this yellow one, which will basically sell your ores for twice the value, so instead of getting $1, I'm now getting $2, so I know, very spectacular. But I also have this black one, which is gonna sell my ore for like half the value at daytime. But as soon as it's nighttime, this is actually getting really dark. Now this should sell for 5 times the value. So yeah, you see, I can do some really cool stuff now, and I just ran out of energy because this consumes like 50 watts of energy. Yeah, it's kind of the problem if your entire factory runs on solar power. Oh, I also worked on another really cool system, which I want to show you. So if I now make a new world, we actually have daily rewards now. I like how the user interface looks. Tofix did a really amazing job at this again. Now we can also have a look at all of the daily rewards. I also added a whole new type of crate. Because, yeah, I also refactored the entire crate system. But yeah, once we claim our reward, it's gonna spawn the chest somewhere, or like the loot crate. And yeah, that's still basically unchanged. However, the blue loot crates now can actually give me items from a tier that I haven't even unlocked yet. So yeah, they overall give you kind of better rewards now. Ideally, when you come back every day, you're gonna get better rewards, but I actually never even tested the system yet, so I just hope it works. Yeah, I've also started recording stuff again at some point. Now, so far, I've just been too lazy to go through all of the footage that I have. Oh yeah, I actually did rework the conveyors, so you can see a couple of things happening here. For some reason, the wood blocks like to tumble, which you see is not really ideal. And also, if I move my character over the conveyor belt, you'll see I get a little bit accelerated every time I am between two conveyor belts. So yeah, basically I literally just made the conveyor belts a lot smoother. If you didn't know, I'm actually traveling right now, and currently I'm in Australia. So of course I got bored at airports and on airplanes. So I actually did mod scrap mechanic in an airplane once. My battery lasted like 90 minutes. But yeah, I've added so many countless things to the mod, I don't even remember exactly. So this debug stuff, for example, to set my money. So I can actually show you what being poor is like. If I now buy items, there's actually a pop-up that says not enough money. Tofix also added filters to the shop, so you can now like search for the highest priced item and stuff like that. We can filter by tiers. This is not entirely done yet. I'm sure he's almost got it done or whatever. Basically, what I want to do now is just do a bunch of little things. And then I actually need to think about the rebirth system. So one thing that's really bothering me right now when building factories is I never know how valuable each ore is until it's in the furnace. So I think I'm gonna add like a text like this, which shows you the current value of each ore. And it should be a really simple thing to do. In fact, I can probably just yoink the code from the generator. And oh, look at this, I've got it working. Oh yeah, I like this a lot. So yeah, what's left to do? I need to add an effect to the research furnace. Because yeah, currently it's like super hard to tell the difference. Okay, I think yeah, I've got the logic. Oh my god, is it just working? It kinda is. Well, you saw the smoke. Right, watch my genius work. Yes, yes, it works. Now I just need to come up with an effect that actually makes sense. Whoa, what the hell? What is this? Like, this is some kind of marker. Well, I think the bubbles from the clam are actually not that bad. Yeah, I really like this. I wish I can just scale this down to the actual size of the furnace, and this would be like perfect. I think I'm happy with this effect. I mean, I can always adjust it later. Alright, so next I've got to work on more effects. So now once I spawn my daily reward crate, I've got an error. I think I finally should have my confetti. Oh my god, you can actually, yeah, it won't ever go away. Okay, I think I'm now done, and this is so over the top, but I'm gonna love it. Okay, I've already seen, oh my god, why is there an error in the console? Yeah, I basically had to make a whole effect system now to make this work, and oh my goodness. Then people complain why my code is gonna get so janky. It's not that I'm the jank, it's Scrap Mechanic. Like, this again is such a janky workaround. I spent so much time, like, refactoring the mod to be pretty, and now I have to add all of this jank, just so I can play this over-the-top music for the daily reward. Kind of boring that Scrap Mechanic doesn't play any click sounds. So yeah, at least I want to have these buttons play some sounds, so it's gonna be a whole lot of not fun. Guess what, now the sound effect has a lot of delay because, oh my god, I hate this so much. Apparently I can also just eat this line and this won't break anything, I hope. Tofix is gonna hate me for this, but screw it. Oh yeah, this is so much better to have some feedback when you actually buy something. Now if I buy something successful, it also makes the warning go away, so yeah, oh yeah, this is so nice. Now buying stuff, like spending money, is fun. So lastly, I wanted to be a lot more epic when you actually finish your research, because currently it's kind of unspectacular. Yeah, you get a notification, and it shows, you know, in chat what you unlocked, and I've already seen the first error in my console. But that's because I've already tried adding the effect, and then I had some problems, so yeah, now we're actually gonna do it properly. Okay, my crazy plan is working. Whenever the research is done, we just have a giant ray of confetti. And yeah, after 10 seconds it stops, so I can also play the epic music, and I'll probably have to change the orientation of the confetti. I also just realized that this furnace is not adding all the research points it should. So I'll have to fix that as well, which is fun. Okay, it should get really epic now. The direction is still wrong. Yay, I just fixed it. Yeah, this is really epic. Yeah, I probably gotta get rid of the music now in the daily reward screen, because that's so over the top now. Anyway, now these sound effects actually make the game a whole lot more fun, although it's just a tiny thing. Anyway, well, I'm too lazy to add more tutorials. This is a special type of upgrader that I can do easily later, since I just refactored the upgrader system. Now, Tofix is gonna work a little bit more in the shop, so the shop automatically gets generated from all of the items we add to the mod. And then the only thing that's missing is the prestige system. Yeah, and I probably should also mess a bit more with the conveyor belts, because they tend to clog more than your arteries after eating too much junk food. Yeah, you didn't see that one coming. So yeah, I'm really happy with the state of the mod right now. It's really starting to be a lot of fun to play with this. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more devlogs of the mod. And after next time, we can probably already have some playtests. It's gonna be so exciting.